first grade scientists. Welcome back to Science with Mrs. Miller. Today, we will be talking about animal classification. Ooh, that's a fancy word. Can you say that word? Say it with me slowly. Ready? I'm going to stretch it out. So animal, say it slow. Class, ification. Say it a little faster now. Animal classification. One more time, nice and smooth. Animal classification. So the word classification is just a fancy word for grouping. So we're going to be talking about animal groupings today, or animal. You say it. Let me hear you. Classification. That's right. Now, there are 6 main groups of animal classification that we're going to be looking at today. Let's go through them together. One is insects. The next is reptiles. Another is amphibians. Another is fish. Then birds. And lastly, mammals. I have a really great video that explains each of these animal classifications really well. So we're going to watch this video, but we're going to pause along the way to talk about the different aspects of each classification. So we'll be talking about, well, what makes something an insect? How do we know that something's an insect? How do we know that an animal is a reptile or an amphibian? Make sure that you're listening really, really closely so that you'll be able to decide which animals go into which classifications or which categories. So get those listening ears ready. Take those listening ears and stretch them out wide. Here we go. Stretch them out again. Turn the volume up. Take that thinking cap, put it on your head. Get ready for some listening and some thinking. After each animal classification is spoken about within our video, we're going to stop to talk about it. So you'll want to make sure that you're really paying attention to what makes each animal fit into each category.
Do you know where we're supposed to go?
Mrs. Piccolo said we were going to classes today.
Well, let's try this one.
I guess you had to run to the office.
What about this class?
Whoa. Feathers, claws, beaks. I don't think we belong in there. Stand back. I'll try this one.
Wait. You're sure Mrs. Piccolo said we're going to classes?
A class, classify.
Living things, like animals, can be grouped together by the ways they are alike. This is called classifying. First, you need to know if something is an animal. If something is alive, and it is not a plant, then it probably is an animal. Now, you can put it in a group with other animals that are like it. Let's look at 6 groups of animals: insects, reptiles, amphibians, fish, birds, and mammals. The largest group of animals is insects.
Wow.
There are more insects than any other kind of animal on the earth. There are nearly 1 million kinds of insects in the world. Insects are a group of animals that have 6 legs and 3 body parts. All 6 legs on an insect bend where 2 parts of their leg join together. These are called jointed legs because they bend where they join. An insect's body has 3 parts: the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. Some animals have bones, and some don't. Insects belong to the group of animals that have no backbones. They are called invertebrates. Many insects have a hard covering on the outside of their bodies called an exoskeleton. It's an outside skeleton. The exoskeleton protects an insect's insides like a suit of armor. When an insect grows, it gets too big for its exoskeleton. A new one grows, and the old exoskeleton falls off. Some insects shed this outside covering many times until they are fully grown. Insects change the way they look as they grow. They may start their lives as an egg. This is a butterfly egg. The egg hatches and becomes a larva. A butterfly larva is called a caterpillar. The larva changes into a pupa, and finally, the adult butterfly comes out of the pupa. This change from egg to larva to pupa to adult is called metamorphosis. The word metamorphosis means to change. Most insects go through these 4 changes during their life.
That class kind of bugged me.
You're silly. It was fun to learn about insects.
All right, so now it's time to talk about what we learned. What did you learn about what makes something an insect? How do you know that an animal is an insect? Would you please turn and talk to somebody next to you about what you learned about insects? How do we know that we can group an animal into the classification of insects? Ready, set, turn and talk. You have 10 seconds. All right, time's up. Let's see here. So, insects. Here are some things that we know about insects. Insects have 3 body parts. That's right. Did you hear how the video taught us that insects have an abdomen, a thorax, and a head? Those are the 3 body parts. Also, most insects lay eggs. We also learned that most insects have an exoskeleton. Oh, that's another fancy word. Can you say that word? Say it slow with me. Exoskeleton. Say it a little faster. Exoskeleton. And that means that their skeleton is on the outside. There's a hard shell covering their whole body. Did you hear how that hard shell molts or sheds as the insect grows? Now, something else to note, I don't know that this was mentioned in the video, but all insects are cold-blooded. And what does that mean? Well, if an animal is cold-blooded, that means that their body temperature changes. So if it's cold outside, their body temperature is cold. If it's warm outside, their body temperature is warm. That's different from us. We are warm-blooded. So our body temperature is always the same, even if we're outside and it's very, very cold, or we're outside and it's very, very warm. Great job listening, everybody. Now, next we're going to learn about this classification, reptiles. Say reptiles. Yes, reptiles. Can you think of any reptiles? Go ahead. See if you can name 3 reptiles across your fingers right now. Ready, set, go. All right. Time's up. Let's see. Did you say alligators? Did you say lizards? What else? Kimono dragons? Let's listen and learn about these interesting animals, reptiles.
I can't wait to find out what's behind this door.
Me too.
Whoa!
Reptiles are another group of animals. The word reptile means to creep. Reptiles come in many shapes and sizes. Turtles, tortoises, crocodiles, alligators, lizards, and snakes are all reptiles. Most reptiles have dry, scaly skin, like this alligator. Some have hard shells, like this turtle. As reptiles grow, their skin gets too tight, so they grow a new, bigger skin. When the new skin grows, the old skin splits and falls off. Most reptiles' bodies are as hot or cold as the air or water around them. When the temperature of the air or water changes, their body temperature changes. They are called cold-blooded. This means their body temperature changes with the outside temperature. Reptiles lay their eggs on land. These eggs are tough on the outside to protect the baby inside. When baby reptiles hatch, they look just like an adult reptile, only much smaller. These baby alligators look like tiny adult alligators. Reptiles have bones inside their bodies. Animals with skeletons inside their bodies are called vertebrates. Reptiles also breathe air with lungs inside their bodies.
I breathe air with lungs too.
But you're not a reptile. They have dry, scaly skin and are cold-blooded.
And they hatch from eggs.
All right, first grade scientists. So what did we just learn about reptiles? Go ahead and share with someone near you. You have 10 seconds. Ready, set, turn, and talk. Time is up. Let's see how you did. So reptiles, we learned, number 1, that they have scales. They are cold-blooded, just like insects are cold-blooded. So their body temperature is the same temperature as the air around them. Most reptiles lay eggs. And reptiles have dry skin. Next, we'll go on to learn about amphibians. Say that word. Amphibians. One more time. Amphibians. That might be a new word for you. What is an amphibian? Can you think of an example of an amphibian? Let's see. I'll give you a little hint. Can you hear this? Do you know what animal that is? That's the sound of a frog, and a frog is one example of an amphibian. Let's learn more about amphibians and what makes them part of this classification.
Are you ready for this one?
I don't know. You better be careful. It sure looks slimy.
Amphibians are a group of animals made up of frogs, toads, newts, and salamanders. Amphibians are cold-blooded and have bones inside their bodies like reptiles, but they are different in many ways. Amphibians begin their lives living in the water, But when they grow into adults, they live on land. So amphibians have two lives, one in the water and one on land. The word amphibian means double life, two lives. Most adult amphibians live in warm, wet areas or near water because they have to keep their skin wet and lay their eggs near water. Amphibian eggs hatch in the water. An adult frog lays its eggs in the water. When the eggs hatch, larvae swim out. Frog larvae are called tadpoles. At first, tadpoles don't have any legs. As tadpoles get bigger, they grow legs for walking on land and lungs for breathing air. When the change is complete, frogs are able to leave the water and live on land. They return to the water when it is time to lay their own eggs. This change from egg to larva to adult is called metamorphosis.
Speaking of water, I hear something behind this door.
All right, second grader. Did I just say second graders? Oh my goodness. I meant to say first graders, but that I must have made that mistake because you are just all so mature and you act like second graders in the way that you listen and learn and think and share. So first graders who act more like second graders, can you now please turn and talk to share what you learned about this interesting group of animals, amphibians. You have 10 seconds to share. Ready, set, go. Let's see how you did. Here are my notes. So amphibians, oh my goodness, it's another group of they're another group of animals that are cold-blooded, which means that they're not able to regulate their own body temperature. Their body temperature is the same temperature as the air around them. They lay eggs. They have wet skin. Think of a frog, right? How its skin is really wet and moist. These animals live both in land and in water. They also have webbed feet. And the next category or class of animals that we'll be talking about is, read it with me, 3, 2, 1, fish. That's right. I bet you already know a lot about fish. Can you whisper into your hand something that you already know about fish? Ready, set, go. Fish have gills. They swim in the water. All right, now it's time for us to learn more. Turn those listening ears up. Get ready.
Speaking of water, I hear something behind this door.
Whoa, I do too. Here. You better be ready to get wet.
Fish are another group of animals. There are over 20,000 different kinds of fish in the world. Many of them are very colorful and strange looking. Some fish are long and skinny. Other fish are round and spiky. Some are graceful, and some are scary looking. Fish live their whole lives in the water, and they breathe air through gills. Gills are tiny openings on the sides of their heads. Fish swallow water and then push it out through these gills. This is how they get air from water. Most fish have scales on their bodies. These scales protect the fish. Fish are cold-blooded, so their body temperature is always the same as the water they swim in. and most fish hatch from eggs.
Wow, what did you learn about fish? Turn and tell the person next to you. You have 10 seconds to share. Ready, set, go. Time's up. Thank you for sharing. Let's see, here are my notes on fish. Well, fish have gills and they breathe underwater. Wasn't that so interesting how their gills allow them to take air out of the water? Fish lay a lot of eggs and they are hatched from eggs. They also have scales. As you probably already know, they live in the water, and this is yet another class of animals that is cold-blooded. Next up, oh, what's that noise? Do you hear that? Birds! Yes, next up we'll be learning all about birds. I bet you already know a lot about birds. Can you whisper into your hands right now some things that you already know about birds? Ready, set, go. All right, thank you. Now let's see what else we can learn. Let's grow our knowledge about birds.
Speaking of eggs, wait until you've seen what's behind this door.
A peek into the sky shows us that there are many kinds of birds all over the world. Some are large, some are small, but they all have something in common. Birds are a group of animals that have feathers, wings, and 2 legs. And birds are the only animals with feathers. Some birds have very colorful feathers, like parrots, blue jays, and tiny hummingbirds. All birds have wings, but some cannot fly. Emus can't fly. The ostrich is another bird that has wings but can't fly. It's the world's largest bird. It can grow up to 8 feet tall and weigh almost 350 pounds. The ostrich is a fast runner. Some animals, like bats, are often mistaken for birds because they have wings and can fly. But they are not birds because they do not have feathers. Birds lay eggs. Most birds warm the eggs in their nests by sitting on them. When the baby birds hatch, the parents take care of them by keeping the babies warm and feeding them until they are old enough to take care of themselves. Some birds can swim. Penguins and ducks have special webbed feet that help them move quickly in the water.
Gosh, that class was for the birds. Very funny. Didn't Mrs. Piccolo say that we were going to learn about 6 groups of...
All right, it's time for you to share what you learned about birds. Ready, set, turn and talk. Let's see if you shared everything that I wrote down about birds. Well, birds have feathers and wings. They lay eggs, and unlike the rest of the animal classifications that we've learned about so far, birds are warm-blooded. That means that their body temperature stays the same. Now, I have a bonus question for you. It was spoken about in the video. Are bats birds? Thumbs up or thumbs down? Ready, set, go. Thumbs down. Bats are not birds. And how do we know? Because bats don't have feathers. They do have wings, so sometimes people mistake them for birds, but they are in fact not birds because they don't have feathers. It is time for our very last animal classification. Next up, we will be learning about mammals. Do you know who a mammal is? Can you think of any mammals? You're looking at one right now. I'm a mammal, and you're a mammal too. Let's learn more about mammals, what makes an animal a mammal, and what other mammals there are.
Didn't Mrs. Piccolo say that we were going to learn about 6 groups of animals?
Well, we've seen insects, reptiles, amphibians, fish, and birds. What's left?
Let's see.
Mammals come in all shapes and sizes. Mammals can be big or small. What makes a mammal different from other animals? Mammals feed their babies with mother's milk, and they are the only animals that have fur or hair. Mammals' fur can help them stay warm. Mammals' bodies stay the same temperature all the time, even when the weather gets very cold or hot. This means they're warm-blooded. Some mammals, like sea otters, grow thick fur to help stay warm. Other mammals, like seals, don't have a lot of hair on their bodies, so they have a layer of fat under their skin that helps them stay warm. Elephants are large mammals that live in warm places, so they don't need much hair or fur to keep them warm. And mammals have bones inside their bodies. They are vertebrates. Almost all mammal babies are born alive. They do not hatch from eggs. When a mammal baby is born, it cannot take care of itself. The parents must take care of their babies and teach them to find food. When young mammals can take care of themselves, they may leave their parents and live on their own. Mammals move around in different ways. Dolphins and whales swim in the ocean. Bats fly from place to place. But most mammals walk around on 4 legs, or walk around on 2 legs, like we do. And some mammals can also go to school.
I felt right at home in there.
Of course, you have hair. You're a mammal. You can group animals together by the ways they are alive.
All right, now go ahead and share what you've learned about mammals. 10 seconds, ready, set, go. Time is up. Let's see what we have here. So mammals, let's see, their babies are born alive. They have hair or fur. They are also warm-blooded animals, like birds are warm-blooded animals, and their babies drink milk. All right, in just a moment, we're going to play a little game, but before we do, would you please stand up behind your chair? Get ready for a little movement break. We've been working our brains so hard, learning so much information about animal classification. So let's get our bodies moving and give ourselves a little brain break so that we're ready to learn more.
Life can be messy. A morning at home can be rough. Getting to school and making it through lunch can be challenging, but you have to keep going. You have to shake off those yucky feelings. Your body can help. Shake your fingers. Shake, 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 shake. Stop. Now your hands. Shake them like you've got them all wet, and you want to shake them dry. Just your hands. Shake, 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 shake. Floppy, up or down, side to side. Shake, shake, shake. Stop. Be mindful of your neighbors and get your arms into it. Raise them up Now shake them off. Upper arms, forearms, and yes, fingers and hands too. Shake, 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 shake. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop. Feeling like you shook off something? You did. Help yourself move forward. Shake off those rough moments. Shake them off and move on.
All right. Have a seat if you're not already in your seat, because it's time for Name That Classification. In this game, we will be naming groups of animals. Here are our options. Is it a mammal, insect, amphibian, birds, fish, or reptiles? Are you ready? Here comes our first clue. These animals have 3 body parts, have 6 legs, most of them lay eggs. They have an exoskeleton. They are cold-blooded. Here are some examples. A ladybug, a dragonfly, a beetle. Name that animal classification. 3, 2, 1. Did you say insects? You are correct. Let's see our next one. These animals have scales, are cold-blooded. Most of them lay eggs. They have dry skin. Here are some examples. A snake, lizards, turtles. Can you name that classification? 3, 2, 1. Let's see. Reptiles! You got it. All right, next one. These animals are cold-blooded, lay eggs, have wet skin, live on land and in water, have webbed feet. Oh, this is a tricky one. Here are some examples. We have frogs and toads and salamanders and newts. Let's see. Can you name that classification? 3, 2, 1. Amphibians! Wow, impressive if you got that one correct. These animals have gills and breathe underwater, lay a lot of eggs, have scales, live in water, are cold-blooded. Here are some examples. We see lots of them here, all different colors, all different shapes. Can you name that animal classification? 3, 2, 1. Fish! Nice job, everybody. Let's see what our next one is. These animals have feathers and wings, lay eggs, are warm-blooded. Here are some examples. We have a blue jay, a cardinal, a parrot, an owl, penguins, a duck. Now name that classification. 3, 2, 1. That's right, birds. Woohoo! Next up, these animals have babies that are born alive, have hair or fur, are warm-blooded. Their babies drink milk. Here are some examples. Ooh, lots of examples here. Llamas, narwhal, pigs, raccoons, walruses, weasels, rats, polar bears, so many dogs, zebras, wolves, sheep, tigers, rabbits. Oh my. Can you? Oh wait, one more. There's one more that wasn't here. That's right. Humans! Like you and me. we fit into this classification or this category. Can you name that animal classification? 3, 2, 1. Mammals! Wowee, amazing job with that game. Now it's time for your activity sheet. Let's read the directions. It says cut and paste the pictures of the animals from the following page to show the correct classification. And then on the following page, it says again, cut out each picture of the animals below and paste them to show the correct animal classification. So you'll cut out all 12 of these pictures and then you want to paste them into the correct classification. Now, if you're up for it, I have a challenge for you. After you finish this activity, if you have time, or even if you'd like to make time later on, I'm going to show you a challenge that you can do. Earlier in the lesson, I made the mistake of calling you second graders because you are so mature. And can I just tell you something? This is the type of work that a second grader could do. But I think you could do it too because I know how smart this group is. And I know how hardworking you are and what great listeners you are and what great thinkers you are. So if you have time and you would like to grow your brain even more, you can do this activity sheet as well. This is enrichment. Let's read the directions. It says choose one animal to teach others about. Draw a picture of that animal and label it. So let's say that I wanted to draw a frog. I would draw a frog here. I would write the word frog. Then here it says, how would you classify this animal? Circle the correct classification. What would I circle? Call it out. 3, 2, 1. Amphibian. That's right, because frogs, as we learned, are amphibians. Then I would fill in the blanks. It says a blank is a type of blank. So I would write a frog is a type of amphibian. And then it says, I know this because, now I have to tell how I know it's an amphibian. I can't just say, well, because it's a frog and frogs are amphibians. No, that's not a very scientific answer, and that's not a very second grade type of answer. We want to try to answer this like second graders and like scientists. So I would write something like, I know this because frogs have wet skin and live on land and in the water. They also lay eggs. Now that's a second grade answer. It was so much fun learning with you today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Keep on learning, and as you see animals around, now you'll be able to classify them. You could say, hey Mom, Dad, that frog over there, that's an amphibian. That turtle over there, that's a reptile. Show off what you know. Bye-bye, everybody.